Many games over the years, especially horror games, have always put an emphasis on creating very intricate and complex sound design. Examples that come to mind would be Hotline Miami for its great soundtrack accompanied by bit crunch punches and gunshots that really accentuate the carnage. Alien Isolation is another for its faithful recreation of the soundscape from the 1979 film, along with the sounds emitted by the xenomorph itself. However, despite all of this, one game stands above the rest for creating the most interesting and downright unsettling sound design in all of gaming. Lost in Vivo. By the way, this is in my opinion. Lost in Vivo is a 2018 independent horror game developed by Akuma Kira, the creator of Spooky's Jumpscare Mansion, which was previously known as Spooky's House of Jumpscares. While Spooky's Jumpscare Mansion might be his most well-known game, it's no stretch to say that Lost in Vivo is his best. Putting you in the shoes of... insert name here, you find yourself walking through a calm suburb with your service dog. Everything seems to be all peaches and cream up until Zeus says,
"What are you, fucking gay?"
and unfortunately, your dog gets drowned. From here on, you have to traverse the sewer system and take a deep dive into not only this hellscape, but your character's very own subconscious. Okay, by the way guys, throughout the video we will be discussing minor, well maybe not minor, maybe major, I don't know, I don't care. We'll be discussing spoilers for the game, so, you know, if you're a little bitch, you can feel free to turn off the video and experience this horror game for yourself. I would highly advise it. Lost in Vivo is a fantastic game. But aside from that, for the rest of us, let's dive right into what this game has to offer. Atmosphere is one thing that Lost in Vivo does very well. Being that it's a game inspired by the Silent Hill series, this is to be expected. It manages to create a very claustrophobic, smothering landscape, coated in rust, blood and grime. The sound design complements this perfectly by being just as uncomfortable. It seeks to unnerve the player at every turn by having droning ambience wherever you may be. And, just when you least expect it, as a result, the atmosphere is heightened to new extremes by the audio, and it wouldn't be the same game without it. I mean, for fuck's sake, the game even recommends that you wear a pair of headphones while playing. Now, as you can expect, I was stupid enough to listen to this piece of advice and had my ears absolutely fucking assaulted by every little fucking thing. Easily the worst of it would be when all the music and ambient noise would be drowned out, and all I'm left with is the sound of my own footsteps down a dimly lit corridor. However, atmosphere can only get you so far with a horror game. All that build up has to have a satisfying payoff. Lost in Vivo, thankfully, delivers by having some of the most creative and disturbing creature design in gaming. A perfect example of this is one of Lost in Vivo's many antagonists, the Siren. a grotesque, oversized, vaguely humanoid creature that emits an amalgamation of distorted voices, moaning, crying, and screaming. For help? Death? We don't know. But if there's one thing we can say about it, it's suffering personified, and the game perfectly accompanies it with sounds that make your blood run cold. This is the case with the majority of the enemies in Lost in Vivo. There are some more basic enemy types, such as the oversized cockroaches, but these enemies are few and far between, leaving room for the more intrusive and violent entities. These creatures also make their presence well known to the player by being as loud as humanly possible. You get a real sense of the suffering they go through. For the most part, Lost in Vivo is a very quiet game. Instead of ramping up the tense moments with a rising violin, or playing somber, relaxing music as you walk through the empty corridors, the game remains silent. It leaves your footsteps and the echo of distant wailing to do the job. However, when Lost in Vivo does use its score, it's done so with absolute care and it feels appropriate. An example that comes to mind in particular is the Vice Room. To progress further, you need to crush a doll's head in a vice to receive a key. However, the build-up throughout the science facility has made you very uneasy. Human-rat hybrids stalk the halls, and the facility is in complete disarray. It all culminates in this one room, where you discover why all the rats seemed so flat. The good doctor has been crushing the rats in the vice for his experiments and leaking their blood into the rat fluid chamber. What the fuck that's supposed to be? Thus, the soundtrack perfectly sets the tone for this grim realization, with a distorted wailing accompanied by a rusty, grimy room. I wanted to dedicate one section of this analysis to the lost tapes, as they're known in-game. These are possibly the most frightening and intense sections of Lost in Vivo. They have very little connection to the main plot of Lost in Vivo, acting as more of a side quest than anything. They don't progress the story or offer any insight into the main character. They exist solely to scare the living shit out of you and have you wondering what the fuck did you just see. Much like the rest of the game, the sound design is top notch, adding to the game's unsettling atmosphere yet again. A great example being the echoes, disembodied voices that can only be understood when directly looked at. To top it all off, each section ends abruptly as the volume rises to a shrill pitch and the screen becomes oversaturated with bright static. Admittedly, it was quite short, but I just wanted to give you a little insight into probably one of my favourite horror games ever made. I was pleasantly surprised by what Lost in Vivo had to offer, and I really hope I've convinced you to give it a try. There are certainly a lot of other aspects that went into the making of Lost in Vivo. The old PS1 style graphics, akin to the original Silent Hill, and the overarching plot of the game and how it tackles mental health. These are all very important factors in the game, and there are many more I could have discussed, but I mainly wanted to focus on just one aspect of the game that made an impression on me. And I hope through the analysis I've done on Lost in Vivo and its sound design, I've convinced you to go out and try it yourself. I assure you, you will not regret it. With that all said and done, I hope you enjoyed this video. I always appreciate any feedback, and if you'd be interested in seeing more, let me know. Subscribe to the channel and like the video for more subpar content, and I hope to see you again soon. Take it easy.